Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I am excited to have Eddie Bader, the president of IAMCP International, joining me today. This is kind of a strange webinar for me. We've been doing this partner series for a while now, Azamba has, and the folks I've been talking to, I've known on the peripheral, but Eddie, I know very closely from working not only at IAMCP with, but he has also worked with me on some P2P opportunities. We've done some business together, and he's also a friend of mine. So this is kind of a different type of interview, but I'm really looking forward to it. And of course, those of you that know, I'm involved in IAMCP as well. So a lot of this stuff might not be new to me, but I'm hoping it is to you. And I'm hoping that we can learn a lot about IAMCP as a community. So with that, I'm going to switch over to Eddie real quick and let him introduce himself to the audience that may not know him as well as I do. So over to you, Eddie.
Oh, thanks, Sandy. It's fun to be here. We're going to have a good time today. You're going to ask me questions that you already know the answers to, so that should be entertaining. So I'm out of Southern California. I work for a few different partners in different capacities. Sixth Street Consulting out in Redondo Beach, modern work partner focusing on Teams, SharePoint Online, and Viva. I've been part of IAMCP for about 8 years now, part of the leadership team along with Sandy, and really trying to just help partners find their success wherever that is. I think it's a little bit different for each partner, but it's very rewarding to be able to work with other partners, either closing business or just help them understand how to sift through all the copious amounts of information that you receive when you're a Microsoft partner. So I'm looking forward to this conversation with Sandy. She's a dear friend of mine, and we work very closely. And she's just she's wonderful for the community. So glad to be talking to you about this, Sandy.
Awesome. Thanks, Eddie. And it's funny because giving us a little bit of your background was one of the things I was going to ask you to do. However, I thought you were going to mention your background at Disney.
Oh,
so I throw you on the spot here for a second, because I know that you worked at Disney for a few years, and I know it's made like a huge impact on your professional life moving forward from Disney. And I thought you might want to share that a little bit with the audience as well, some of the things that you've learned and why it's been so important to you.
Yeah, so I spent almost 15 years with Disney, specifically at the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim. I started in attractions, so I was working on what most people consider rides, which was a lot of fun. And then I transitioned into finance and accounting, where I did daily revenue audits for the park. So I got to see firsthand glimpse of all the revenue coming in, and then slowly transitioned to IT. And then I ended up in labor planning, where we were doing budgets and really working with industrial engineers to figure out how to most efficiently get our work done. So that was a lot of fun. But I think what Sandy was talking about specifically was the idea of the guest experience, right? So how do we take care of our guests at Disneyland? Those guests are what we would consider our clients or customers in the tech industry, right? So guests with a capital G, and there's a reason for that. And we talk about things as if we're putting on a show, right? So there's front of house, everything that a guest can see, and there's back of house, everything that the people who are working to produce the show work on every day. And we can adapt that to any industry and any environment, especially technology. But I think what was really important is be mindful of the guest experience, trying to make it as great as possible. Some things that we went through in orientation is, hey, in a day, you might get asked where the restroom is 100 times, but that specific person only asked you once. So it's really, and when you think about that, it's really important because it helps you reset. Like at that 100th question, you might be really tired of telling people where the restroom is, but that person's only come up to you once, so they don't know what the rest of your day has been like, nor should they, right? So it's really putting the client at the center of everything, making sure that they have an awesome experience and they have access to enjoy their day as best they can. And really, we're facilitating safety, make sure they're getting on and off the attractions as well as possible, finding the things they want access to, and making sure that when either they're watching a parade, watching fireworks, or enjoying any other element of the park, that we made sure they did it in the safest way possible with as much respect for the other guests as possible. So The other thing I'll say about that is when I transitioned from front of house with all the guests, the typical guests or park attendees, to back of house, I still had guests, except my guests were other cast members, right? So my responsibility to my guests might be somebody else in finance or somebody at corporate who was waiting for numbers or information. So regardless of what environment in, we still have that guest experience. And I think I've always brought that with me because it really means a lot to me, and trying to make everybody uh, not only know that they're important, but making sure that they have the best possible interaction with us at all times.
Yeah, and I think you've really brought that forward to IMCP as far as our member experience, and I think it's important. And I love all the analogies and all the stories that you bring to us from the Disney days, and I think it's a great outlook to have within the organization. So as we talk about IMCP, let's get back to that a little bit. Let's just, for those that don't know, I'm just going to ask you blunt, straight out question. What is IAMCP?
Well, for those who aren't aware, it's the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners. We're a close-knit community of partners globally. A lot of our partners are interested in working with other partners to develop their business or really understand how to manage the complexities of being a Microsoft partner. There's a lot of things to understand, and there's a lot of, as an owner or a participant in a partner organization, there are a lot of resources and tools and areas of knowledge that you need to understand without having somebody help you curate it or kind of get you through some of the pitfalls that some of us may fall into. It's kind of hard to navigate on your own, but through this relationship, through working with other partners, either for the development of business or just how to understand how to better run your operation, these members that we have have that give first mentality. They want to help other people and receive help in return, and I think it's a great mindset. What we're really trying to foster here is a community of collaboration where we see each other as cooperative participants and colleagues as opposed to competition. And it is true, we do compete on some level, but I think we can open up more doors when we work together than when we kind of work in silos. And so that's one of the aspects that we try to foster within the community. The other piece is that we bring subject matter experts from Microsoft to help us understand the complexities of some of the programs and initiatives. And it's no fault of their own, but sometimes it takes a little while for us to pick up on the key points and the key resources that we should be using on a regular basis. And then something that we started, Sandy and I, and with the help of the community, we started an Insights call last year, where it's just really an open session. Partners can come, they can ask their questions. Hey, I'm having an issue with this. Does anybody know how to do that? People are sharing their screens, sharing their partner center screens, which is usually not many people like to do that. But this is an environment for us to bring something to the table and share with others. And I've been really excited about the engagement in those. I just heard from our partner development manager yesterday that while he was on a session during Inspire and people were asking how to do something specific, people were in the chat, hey, you should be an IMCP members know how to do this, and we have sessions on this all the time, and people are sharing their screens, and that makes you feel good that you're a part of an organization that's helping others. So just, first blush, that's kind of what we're about here. Oh, and I will add one thing, sorry. And I know it's hard for you switching back and forth.
I know, I was just jumping to myself, so now I'm going to jump back to you.
So I'll just add one other thing.
Producer's nightmare. You're a producer's nightmare.
I know. Well, we're friends, so
exactly.
That's fine.
Exactly.
The other thing is making an impact in the communities that we serve, right? I think it's, at least for me, I consider it a privilege to be in this industry. And it's a privilege to have met people like Sandy and Leah and countless others within this community. And they're good people, good at heart. and want to do good for other people. So when we have an opportunity to either connect education to industry, to extend outreach to those who wouldn't normally hear our message or have an opportunity to participate in this part of the economy, I think we not only have a responsibility to do that, but we have an obligation to do that. And we are making good on those efforts by some of the initiatives that we're taking on. So a lot of stuff to unpack there, but that's kind of what this organization is about.
Thanks, Eddie, as I try to push myself over here. Excellent. All right. Now your own journey, I know you were part of the SoCal chapter to begin with. Then you became the SoCal president. Then you were elected IAMCP America's president. For those of you who don't know, IAMCP has 3 different regions: Americas, which is the US, Canada, and LATAM, EMEA, and APAC. So Eddie, at that point, was elected as president of the Americas. And I guess, congratulations, here comes the pandemic. You get elected, the pandemic happens, everything gets shut down. And I know that affected IAMCP in good ways and bad ways. And I just wanted to get your feedback a little bit about how the pandemic really, it changed the organization.
Yeah, it did, and we had to adapt. And I think that is one of the things that as technologists we learn to do all the time is adapt to a changing environment. I think our industry changes very frequently, and it's not unlike other industries as well. But it presented us with really awesome opportunities and significant challenges, right? So a lot of people saw the value of IAMCP as being in the same room together. And when we couldn't be in the same room together, that for some people it took some of that value away. But what it added was the fact that we could connect globally with partners, and we didn't really have a framework or a business model that supported that 100%. But by implementing Teams and making our meetings virtual, somebody from New York could join the Seattle conversation, right? And meet partners there, where normally that avenue wasn't open before. They'd have to fly into Seattle. If they were there during the time the meetings happened, then they would get to participate. But now it's, the access is ubiquitous, and I think that's awesome. The challenge of and I'll be honest with you, even though we're breaking out of the pandemic, there's still a challenge of getting people into chapter meetings. We can get to conferences, which I think we've done a really good job of, especially in EMEA. Their watch party for Inspire in Germany was 350 plus. The EMEA conference in Lecce, Italy, that had over 400 attendees, which I think is fantastic. But to be perfectly honest, we're still struggling to get more people to show up for chapter meetings, right? So we're still working through that. But I will say that there's still a genuine opportunity here, right? And even if you don't necessarily meet people face to face, connecting to them and being a part of these virtual sessions is super important. People want to get to know you. Through getting to know you, they start liking you, and then through that they start trusting you, right? And that's where the magic happens. We can do, as leaders of this organization, we can set up a lot of programs and set up a lot of sessions, but nobody participates. It's all for naught, right? So I can't underscore this any more than when I say the members are the magic, right? Them showing up, whether it's in person or virtually, them showing up is what makes everything happen, and it lights up the community. Because when partners talk to each other, it's just gold. And if you've been to Inspire before, you've seen it firsthand.
Definitely. Now, this year you were elected international president. So now you've got dual roles. You're the president of the Americas as well as international president. And you're very humble and you never like to take credit for anything, but getting the organization through the pandemic and evolving the organization the way you have has been tremendous. And I think it's allowed a lot more participation, and I think people feel like it's more inclusive. people in the organization feel like their thoughts and their ideas matter. And not only do they matter, we're seeking those things out. It is a member organization, and you really put an emphasis on the members and delivering to the members. So now that you're international president, do you have any, goals or things that you're thinking that you'd like to take at a global level that maybe you've done at the Americas level, or how has that changed for you now that you're international president?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. But I'm quick to tell you that this isn't just one person. This is a community. You spend a lot of time in this community. Leah spends a lot of time. All of our leaders contribute, and all of our members contribute. Right. So this is never the efforts of just a single person, but it's a collective, and that's what makes it awesome. Right. Excuse me, I'd probably overuse this analogy, but it's like a potluck. If one person brings something with a potluck, everybody can't put very much on their plate. But when everybody contributes, everybody walks away with piles of stuff on their plate, and they can come back a second time. So I think that's the effect of all of us contributing is really being able to walk away with awesomeness. And you've been a big part of that from the very beginning. I think one of the reasons why you and I became instant friends is because we had similar perspectives. So with regards to what we want to do globally is just more of the same. Bring the community together, right? I think one of the things we did in the Americas was when we had board meetings, they were limited to the voting members of the board. So chapters that had reached their voting status, those delegates or presidents were invited to the board meeting. First thing we did was open it up to the leadership teams of every chapter we have. It doesn't matter where the ideas come from, and we want equal representation. Whether you have a vote or not, your voice needs to be heard, and we need to understand what you're going through. And for us to be delivering on our promise to help you grow and to help you be better at being a Microsoft partner, we have to know what it is that you need from us. So I would say we just want to extend that through the global community, inviting the entire leadership group from the global community to participate in these meetings, to know that they have a voice, to bring these people together. There's still, I will tell you, it still was shocking to me that on some of our board meetings, even a couple years into our term, there were presidents that didn't know each other.
True.
Right, so we have to combat it. If our presidents don't know each other, how can we expect our members to reach out and to meet one another? Right, we have to set that example. So I think that's really important, is bringing the entire community together, learning about what IMCP Germany is doing, or what they're doing in the UK, and what they're doing in India, best practices. We don't have all. No group has all the answers. So when we get together, it's an opportunity to share and celebrate what's going really well, understand what we need to work on, and identify opportunities for growth and expansion. Right. So I think just more of the same is what we really want to do. One of our big initiatives, and you've been leading this charge, is finding a new organizational management system for our members. And candidly, we're not all on the same system right now globally, which means it's harder to manage as a community. So once we get everybody under one system, I think that's going to help us, and it's going to help with the idea of connecting our partners to one another, directories, understanding what their capabilities are. Sometimes right now, if somebody reaches out, somebody from Germany might reach out to me and ask, do you know a partner in Wisconsin, right? And so it's kind of based on maybe your connections and who you know. We want to make this, we want to have that self-servability, and that's not even a word, but I just made it, so we'll go with it.
Right.
But, and it's not that I don't want to help. It's not that you don't want to help or anybody wants to help, but sometimes speed and quick access to what you need is really important. And I think being mindful of the people that are coming into this industry, younger generations, how do they work? How do they want to work? They don't necessarily want to pick up the phone or send an email and find something. They want to find it online, on their phone, something very quick and easy. So as little time and as few clicks to get to your goal as possible. So those are, just high level things. And then the important things that we always focus on is, really solidifying our relationship with Microsoft, understanding how working together accomplishes the goals of both organizations and partners throughout the ecosystem. I think when we deliver great services and solutions to clients, they win, the partners win, and ultimately Microsoft wins. So we're invested in one another. So it's just more of that, really, but at a global level, so that any partner's experience, any member's experience is as equals as possible, regardless of their geography, right? That's a big thing because people feel, oh, these partners have it better because they have access to that. We want to make sure that we even that playing field as the best of our ability.
And you brought up the mothership, Microsoft, which is exactly where I was going next. So it's like you were reading my mind, Eddie. As we know, Microsoft goes through changes, a lot of changes, almost, I want to say weekly. No. But those changes do affect the partner community as a whole. Whether it be layoffs, unfortunately, we just went through another round of layoffs there at Microsoft, or product announcements or new programs that affect partners. And what do you see IAMCP's goal in reacting to those types of changes within the partner community?
Yeah, it's wonderful that you asked that. I think, as always, I talked about earlier that insight session where we brought partners together to kind of discuss the issues we're going with. That was born from a necessity to address the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program that was being introduced. There was a lot of ambiguity around that. How are we going to qualify? What are the new parameters? What is the solution designation? Excuse me, what are competencies? What are the benefits going to look like? So we specifically started that so that we could help partners through that process. And we're going to continue to do programs like that. Pardon me. I think wherever ambiguity lies is where IAMCP has an opportunity to clear the clouds and bring a ray of sunshine onto that subject matter, right? Something that a few things that came up during Inspire last week have caused some conversations in the partner community that I think we can get ahead of and help manage. I think change is inevitable. One of the things that I've seen Microsoft commit to is time to adjust, a careful consideration about the programs they implement, and making sure, at least to the best of their ability, that when we transition, that the transition is something equal or better than what they had before. Right. So I think they've built and transparency, right? They want to be very transparent about where the roadmap lies to the best of their ability, and I think they're making good on that. And we had the opportunity to be engaged. IAMCP, the royal we at IAMCP has the opportunity to be engaged in multiple conversations. So the voice partner has become, I've just seen the voice of partner just increase in importance with Microsoft, right? They're asking us if we can facilitate surveys for feedback. They're asking us, hey, can we meet with this kind of partner because we want to get their feedback on what we're thinking. That led to one of our partners out in Rochester, New York, being featured on a session at Inspire last week, which is great. And no disrespect to Sarah and Synac, but they were what we would consider a smaller partner. They have 10 people in the organization. For them to be highlighted at Inspire, I think is fantastic, and just a showing of Microsoft's intention to listen to all partners, right? So it's really more of that. It's really understanding not only where the pain points are, where the lack of clarity is, and then really where partners should be focused, that we can really drive results for partners. And I think we're trying to get ahead of all of those as quickly as we can. So you'll see those conversations come up. And then the other thing is with this whole marketplace, FY24 is kind of been promoted as the year of the marketplace. I really think that regardless of your partner type, you need to be thinking like an ISV, productize, have an offer in the marketplace, really take advantage of some of the incentives and the investments that Microsoft's making, and we want to help you get there. So we'll be putting sessions together that'll take you from, nothing to transactable offer, which can be a lot of work. But those are the types of things that we're trying to do for partners. So I hope that answered that question.
It did. Good job.
Ah, thanks.
You're welcome. I know one of the changes with Microsoft over the past, I think it's been maybe the past year, you can correct me, is having our own PDM, right? Microsoft actually assigned someone to work specifically with our community. That someone is Steve DeMarco, who has done a fantastic job working with us and giving us information and back and forth. And I just thought maybe you could give us your thoughts on Steve and his role and how that's kind of changed how we interact with Microsoft a little bit for the better, I believe.
Yeah. So this is part personal and part professional, because Steve and I have built a pretty close relationship over almost 2 years now, when he started in, I think, September of 2021. So it's a huge investment for Microsoft, because this is a FTE dedicated to our community. Steve has been phenomenal in elevating us within the Microsoft ecosystem. So we are connected to business groups and to, whether it's GTM, whether it's product groups, business groups, and across the globe, right? So we introduce him to people that he may not know, but he grants exposure of this community to other people. So now people are coming to him, hey, is there any chance that IAMCP would be interested in talking to us or working with us? Will they be interested in, could we send out, or could they help us amplify this message? We've kind of positioned ourselves as being a scale engine, right? Being able to reach more people. And the way we frame it is IAMCP provides that personal touch to a digital experience, because most of our partners are engaged in a digital experience with Microsoft, and that's perfectly fine. I think where IAMCP jumps in specifically is being able to talk to somebody who's gone through it or understands it from a partner's perspective. And Steve has been phenomenal about positioning us that way, and it's led to engagements that we, honestly, at least my time in role, I've never seen before. And I will just tell you that Steve is equal parts strategy and execution. He cares about our partners and the community. One of the things I love about him is that we just have open conversations, right? There's no wall. Sometimes we talk about stuff that's, maybe not outside of the tent, but we talk about it because there's a high level of trust, and we've been able to develop and I'll say a friendship, because we are friends.
It is a friendship. I mean, anybody that will rap in front of you and I on camera, that says a lot.
I'm still working on trying to get him to record that, by the way, but he's like, I only have one rap. I said, you only need one. But yeah, we just nominated him, and he just won the Prometheus Award from the Americas. As far as I'm concerned, he wins the Prometheus Award for the entire global community. His impact is phenomenal. And I will tell you that, we have a scheduled session to meet once a week, and we talk just about every day, and sometimes multiple times a day. Teams, email, he'll just call me out of the blue, text me. It could be anything, but that strength of relationship we really build on that, and he's positioned IAMCP in a way that we've never been able. And like I said, from my frame of reference prior to this, I don't think we've been able to be positioned before, and that's all him, right? That's got, even though we work together, it's all him working very hard on his side to elevate us. And then I would say on our side, it's this entire community of people actually showing up, taking those surveys, having those conversations, taking time out of their day to have a 45-minute session with a team of researchers that's been hired by Microsoft to find out more about what partners are going through. by you activating on these sessions, by you asking questions, getting clarity. 2 Inspires ago, I had a partner reach out to us and say, I went to Inspire, and I'm like, I already know all this stuff because I heard it at IAMCP, and Steve's been at the backbone of all of that, helping us get the speakers and the subject matter experts to deliver the content that's really going to drive success for our partners. He's been advocating for us since day one. He'll joke that he can finally now spell IAMCP, which is awesome. But
I know the struggle. I know the struggle.
one of the cool things that he's done is by working on his side of the fence, he's worked to get IMCP members access to programs that they may not otherwise have access to. So just real quick, programs are funded and they have a certain amount of capacity. And usually that capacity is not fully utilized. So you take that excess capacity and that is made available to IMCP members, whether they would normally qualify for it under the program guidelines or not. And I think it's a great opportunity for us. It makes sense because the money's being spent anyways, excuse me. So if it's not going to be used, it's just going to waste. But it's his thinking, it's his strategy, it's his care for this community and the partners that make up the community that is really driving his efforts. And sometimes you might talk about an overnight success. It feels like, hey, maybe the switch just got turned on, a few months ago, and things are like just really rolling out. It's a lot of hard work, and he's been behind every part of that. And I can't thank him enough. I mean, I could thank him every day, and it's just wouldn't be enough. His impact on this community is not only present now, but it's going to be present for years to come. And I told him yesterday, I said, you've earned this award for multiple years. I mean,
Right.
you usually give it to somebody else, but I could hand this award to you for
every year.
Several years. Yeah. So yeah, he's been phenomenal.
And that's awesome. And I know, a lot of people say that Microsoft, they only care about the big companies. And, you and I, we know that that's not true, because really the ecosystem is made up of a lot of those smaller partners. But a lot of the partners, they think that because they feel as though I don't have a PDM, I don't have that direct voice to Microsoft. But by joining an organization like IMCP, you do. That's what you get, right? And it's a collective voice, which goes a lot farther than my 5-person organization sitting in Florida. I just picked Florida because I kind of so I think that goes away, and it really does emphasize why being an IMCP member is so important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I would say I personally would challenge any partner who says that Microsoft doesn't care about smaller partners. I think they do. I think there's a good group of people at Microsoft trying to design things with every partner in mind, right? It is a business. When we talk about solution designations or competencies, not every partner had a competency. Most likely not every partner is going to have a solution designation, but we as partners have to understand where our value is, right? And we don't need to be managed directly by Microsoft. And honestly, that number dwindles every year. We all know that, right? And that's okay. But to your point, Sandy, working with other partners, learning from their experience, and being able to put solutions in the marketplace collaboratively, I think those are keys to being super successful. There's a number, and I think some of the larger partners have the ability to do this, but Microsoft talks about partners earn $10 to every $1 of licensing that they sell. So Sandy, give me an average dynamic SKU that you sell all the time. How much is that?
Let's $95 per user.
$95. So according to this metric, you should be making $950 for every user that you have consuming that. Is that achievable right now? Is that something you're getting? Okay, that's kind of what I thought.
I'm not going
But
to answer that question. Thank you very much.
but I think where the value is that maybe you get 3 or 4x. You bring another partner to fill in a little bit other part of the picture, and they're making 3x. Another partner makes 4x, and collaboratively we do reach that 10 times, right? And I think that's where the real value is. I make reference to this. I make reference to this idea of corn chowder, where you know you don't just sell the corn, you don't just sell the potatoes, but you put it together, you make something that didn't exist before, or you enhance what was there before, and then you put that in the marketplace and offer that as a solution. So
Well,
I
I think, and I'm leaving you on screen. I'll just be the voice of God right now. I think this is something that, you know, IMCP as an organization has, we've been preaching this since the inception, right? Which I think Microsoft is coming on board a little bit late, to be honest with you. You know, Microsoft is finally acknowledging, yeah, we do have all these partners and they can work together and should work together. And it's nice to see that change. And I think that change has come out of organizations like IMCP.
Yeah, and I think we first heard from Gabriella when she was talking about, hey, that general contractor concept where it might be your client, but you're bringing in other specialists to help build that house, right? And we've gone with that house analogy. But I think the investments in SMB and SMC, you're going to see a huge focus in that this year. But I think that Microsoft does very much care about all their partners. I've seen it firsthand. If you've been part of IAMCP, you've seen the opportunity to participate in surveys. Those surveys they're going somewhere, and they're
Yep.
being reviewed, and that information is being incorporated into design. And I think that is a huge win, right? You might not think about it, but the desks that are out there to help acceleration for partners, GTM Toolbox, Cloud Ascent, all these various digital tools and resources that are made available. Those are a significant investment in our community, right? In the partners, all partners. And it's really about us understanding how to take advantage of that. Even the incentives and the rebates, those are investments in partners. And I think what IMCP wants to do is make sure that everybody understands where the opportunities are and how to leverage these tools to help them grow. Right.
Yep. Let's talk a little bit. I got to go back on camera here for a second. Let's talk a little bit about the makeup of IMCP and our membership. We've got lots of different types of partners, but we have lots of different types of members as well. Do you want to just explain a little bit of that?
Yeah. Metrics, we don't have them like defined down to the T. I would say probably at least 60% of our members are MSPs, but we have some ISVs in our community. We have Dynamics partners, we have learning partners, we have solutions integrators. We don't necessarily have some of the big GSIs within our community, but I think we represent well over the entire solution stack, right? So people focusing on data and AI, analytics, Azure, modern work, biz apps, and Power Apps is really, you've seen that, Sandy, because you work in that space a lot. Power Apps is on a surge, as we all know. And with the implementation of AI integrated into everything, that's just going to take off even more. But yeah, I think we cover all
We've got members,
spaces.
and we have members that that work with partners, right?
Correct. Complementary, like sales and marketing. They might be offering insurance. They might be offering different things that partners need. Accelerators, business coaches. It's one thing for us to say, hey, go partner, go network, and we make an assumption that everybody knows how to do that and do that efficiently, but not everybody does, and that's okay. It doesn't, we're all here to learn. We all start our journeys in different places, and we all come to the table from different experiences. So if there's something that you need help with, it's very likely that there is a member or many members within this community that can help guide you through that, right? And one of the goals is creating opportunities for members to help mentor one another. Because taking your business from a single person, to 500,000, and then 500,000 to a million, and then all the steps above that, those require different skill sets, and you have different challenges every step of the way. But we have partners across the array, across the gamut of that experience, and once more, as the partners that are willing to share that experience and say, hey, be careful about this, or this is the first thing you need to do when you get started, kind of thing.
Well, we also have Microsoft employees as well as Microsoft alumni and student memberships. That's new for us too.
Right. I think a couple things. So current Microsoft employees have always been invited to participate in the community free of charge. We want them to be connected. We want to have those conversations. We want to build those great relationships with them. Most recently, we've developed a Microsoft alumni membership for those recent alumni of Microsoft, to give them an opportunity to land in the community. There's a lot of talent that's being made available, and a lot of opportunity for partner organizations to work with that talent, either hire them or have them consult in their operations. That's huge. And then with the student membership, it goes back to the conversation around impact, right? I think we need to connect education to industry as quickly and as often as we can, and give students a roadmap to start networking and start partnering with either potential employers, or for those who are entrepreneurial, potential employees that they might be hiring into their organization, right? And it's not just the college students, but it's the high school students. And eventually we want to get our programming to as young as we possibly can, because we know that there are opportunities for us to increase the representation within our ecosystem. And we know, especially I'll speak specifically to women, we know that young girls start self-selecting themselves out of STEM programs as early as the 3rd grade, right? And that's just nothing that we can just let continue happening. So we need to get in front of them. We need to show them leaders like you, Sandy, and like Tara Lynn and Jennifer Didier and Elena and all these wonderful women within our community, Chaitra and Christine Bongard. Show them that there is a place for them in this community, right? And we need to do that across the board through wherever we're underrepresented. We have to make an effort to make sure that those students, at whatever age they are, they can identify and see themselves as part of this industry and not and thriving, right? They can make a difference, and we want them here, right? It's not that we just exposing them, but we want them to be part of this community, and I think that's a great way to do it. So we're really this next 12 to 18 months, we're really pushing hard on developing models to bring students more closely, and we're actually working with a university in Nashville to start the first university chapter for IAMCP, and I'm super excited about that.
That's very cool. And you hit on it a bit when you were talking about the women within the organization. It's funny because within, I don't know if people realize that the WIT network came out of IMCP. It was a special interest group at the time called WIT, Women in Technology. And they were able to, they just got so large, there were so many members, and their focus, is obviously on women in technology, not necessarily just within the Microsoft ecosystem, and not necessarily focused on that P2P partnering, which is at the heart of IMCP. So they went off, and they are now the WIT network. We also had BCPA. I got it right, Eddie.
I'm impressed.
Black Channel Partner Alliance, which came out of IMCP. So, and these are all communities that we or I always call them, and probably not the best phrasing, but I always call it our sister organizations that we all work together. And I thought maybe you could say a few words about that, Eddie, some of the organizations that we work with within the community of Microsoft.
Yeah, each of them was started to address probably a certain shortcoming within our ecosystem, and they do wonderful work. I know Chaitra with Women in Cloud, they are right now they're currently offering some training and some uh, certifications. So we'll make those links available to you as well. But you know, I meet with Chaitra and Christine on a regular basis, and I talk to Frank pretty regularly from Black Channel Partner Alliance. Each of them is focused on, they have their specific focus, but what we do is we work together collectively. I think that what Women in Cloud does in terms of getting their members ready to co-sell and to have their products ready to be consumed by not only the marketplace but eventually end clients. Um, they do a wonderful job of that. There's no reason IMCP needs to recreate that. We're
Right.
just sending them over to them to do that specific work. And we take that approach with everyone, right? I think BCPA has a wonderful insight on how to work with federal government and a bunch of other things. So we fully support them. And the idea is, you know, sometimes Women in Cloud is going to be at the center and the other partner communities are going to surround them and focus on what they're doing and push our members to them. Then Black Channel Partner Alliance is going to be in the center. Everybody pushes towards them, and we just kind of rotate. The analogy I have here would be like a freeway system, right? The idea is that the main freeways are the point of those exist to get partners where they need to go in as little time as possible. And it's our responsibility as leaders and as associations to create as many on-ramps and off-ramps as possible so that people can join us from wherever they are at any time they need to get to us, stay with us for as long as they want. And if they need to go transition, then they can get off when they need to, or they can take the IMCP freeway and get on the BCPA freeway and go excel over there. But we all work together, and there's a good reason to be a part of all four of those communities.
And
They do
there are
wonderful work. Yeah.
and there are discounts out there available so that if you are a member of multiple communities, we take that into consideration. So
Yeah, there are discounts, and like I said, there are programs specific to the Black Channel Alliance partners, but they are wonderful and very gracious, and they share a lot of information with us. And I think, you know, it broadens the opportunity to partner together.
cool. Let's talk about a different type of partner. Let's talk about strategic partners. The rest of the world may may refer to them as sponsors. We call them our strategic sponsors. A lot of them are doing in-kind, quote unquote, sponsorships. When you think of sponsorships, everybody thinks it's a company throwing money at an organization, which is great. We're not going to say no to that. But sometimes the relationship can be a little bit where it's a win-win, where they're helping each other out. So maybe you want to talk about some of the strategic partnerships that IMCP has in place right now, and I'll just say,
Sure.
if anybody's interested in being a strategic partner, reach out to Eddie because we'd love to have you on board.
Yeah. The bottom line is that we want to provide more things for our partners, right? More things to help them be successful. There's some, and if you go back to the conversation about front of house, back of house, there are a lot of back of house things that need to get done to ensure that we're delivering on our commitment to our partners. So marketing, you know, just a better website, better, you know, experience overall. I think a lot of our in-kind relationships are to improve our guest experience, our member experience, right? So I'll talk about a couple. Gail Mercer McKay is helping us with our newsletter content. The teams there has been wonderful. They're also providing some sessions to help partners get started on their marketing journey if they haven't already, or hey, there's always something to learn in sales and marketing, right? But it's an in-kind. Instead of us paying actual dollars, we give them time to provide sessions, and they help us with the work that we need to get done. One of the ones I'm excited about that's coming up, and I have the DocuSign sitting in my inbox. I have to just review one more time and sign, is with Dunamis Marketing. And what Dunamis is going to do is they're going to do an array of services. They're going to help our chapters prepare for in-person events so that we can be as polished as possible, so that we know what to say and how to say it to potential new members to help our community grow, but really position the opportunity that IAMCP offers partners. And the other thing is we're going to be starting a Profiles and Partnership podcast, which they are going to lead and drive. And so there's an in-kind relationship because there's a significant effort to get those done. But I'm super excited about that. I think it's going to be an opportunity for us to highlight partners and showcase what they do, but really connect them to the global community. And working towards our 30th anniversary next year, trying to have all these key partnerships in place is awesome. So those are kind of an example of an in-kind partnership. But what we're trying to do also is select a few quality strategic partners in a range of areas, and these might not be like, let's say we have a few marketing companies that are working with us, so we highlight them. It's okay if you don't work with them, it's totally your choice. But the idea that you're thinking about sales and marketing, that you're making an effort to work on your business, as opposed to in it all the time, that's really what we're trying to foster, is that mindset of, hey, this is out there. I should be thinking about this, and hopefully their messages land with you. That's the whole idea. And there's some great people behind those companies. Even with the ITX and mergers and acquisitions, you might not be ready to sell, you may not be ready to acquire, but engaging with them and prepping your organization to be acquired, those are things that you would do to grow your company as well, right? If you're trying to position yourself to be a target for acquisition, there's a lot of things that you'd work on your expenses, you'd work on your growth, you'd work on a lot of, numbers, right, and processes and business development, right, to get yourself to a position to be acquired. And that's all good stuff, even if you choose not to sell. Maybe at that point you're like, this is going so well, I want to acquire a business instead. But all those there are out there to make you think about working on your business, if that helps.
Excellent. And you just touched on it, which is where I was going to go next, because we have about 5 minutes left here. Time flies when you're having so much fun. Eddie, is 2024 is going to be a big year for IAMCP. You just mentioned that it's going to be the 30th anniversary. So do you want to just give us a little bit of a sneak peek of what's to come in 2024?
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I think 30 years for an organization is something to truly celebrate. And I'll be honest with you, coming from Disney, all the fives and zeros we celebrated like crazy. So 25th anniversary, 30th anniversary, 60th anniversary, you go big time, right? So we're trying to do the same thing with IAMCP, and we're going to be reaching out to partners and members to share their stories, what their experience has been, and highlight members who've been with us for a long time, and highlight new members who are just joining. I think there's an opportunity to share a rich history over 30 years. So we're looking forward to that. One of the big things I'm happy to announce is that the Illuminate conference that originated in EMEA and was done over the last couple of years with great success is being rolled out globally. So there will be an Illuminate APAC in the winter timeframe, so maybe like February, March. Illuminate EMEA will happen in the summertime as usual, and then Illuminate Americas will happen in the fall, so sometime between September and November. These will be in-person conferences. We will get a speaker lineup, and it's probably like a 2-day agenda, but this is an opportunity for partners to get face-to-face to connect. I know a lot of people are missing that Inspire opportunity, but we're trying to bring partners together however they want to. And just because we're having it regionalized doesn't mean everybody isn't welcome. Everybody's welcome. We just wanted to make sure that we landed a large in-person event in each region so that if you couldn't travel far, it was still accessible to you. So look forward to more communication on that in the upcoming months. But yeah, that's a big one for us. And as many things that we can do in person and celebrate throughout the year, that's just more of that to come, I would say.
Yep, I agree. We did have a question come in. Can you speak to our IAMCP POGs as we start Microsoft fiscal year 2024?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know what the POGs are, as the partner opportunity groups, and those originated as an opportunity for partners to come together under a specific banner, whether when we initiated it, it might be by solution type, so security, modern work, dynamics, but also by industry, manufacturing, retailing. But what we found was that we had a considerable sprawl of meetings every month. So we added about 9 meetings in addition to other sessions and chapter meetings and things like that. So what we did is, in an effort to scale it back and be easier to work with, we went to a single POG. And excuse me, Paul Solsky has been really great about kind of changing the format. So now the format in those POGs, and they're global, so you'll have members from all over the world join. He highlights a few partners. They get an opportunity to talk about what they do and share that with the group, and they rotate, right? So I would reach out to Paul if you'd like to participate in that. But this is a great way for you to engage, right? The partners that show up to those opportunity group meetings are partners who are looking to develop their meetings, they're looking to meet other people. And I would just recommend that, like with anything, give first, right? Understand what it is somebody else needs. Ask them how you can help them. And by virtue of you extending that offer like that, those things come back to you. I guarantee it. There's nothing good that you put out there that doesn't come back to you. Usually many times over again. But I think having the right approach to participating in those POGs, we'll continue to have them. They'll continue to be global. We are also going to create opportunities for Microsoft industry folks to come in and speak to our community about how to engage in the industry clouds, how to verticalize their solutions. I think that's really important for all our partners. So be on the lookout for those as well. And we'll make sure that all that gets communicated through the partner opportunity groups. So hopefully that answered your question.
Excellent. Just got another question came in. I know we're at the top of the hour, so we'll try to hit this real quick. How does an IAMCP member find out more about the complementary sales and marketing services?
Yeah, so if you go to IAMCP.org, so let me take a step back. The complementary marketing services, I want to make sure that I answer this correctly. So when we talk about in-kind relationships and like Gail Merce-McKay and Dynamics Marketing, those that we talked about, those are being provided to the organization, not to the member organization. So I want to make sure that's really clear. But all of them do have an offering for partners that is a discount from what you would normally get if you were just to get it off the street. So you can go to IAMCP.org and under About, there's a member benefits tab, and there's a current list of member benefits that you can participate in. And if you have a more specific question, you can just email me directly, americas.president@imcp.org. I'm happy to have that conversation, do a little deeper dive and make sure I understand the question completely.
Yep. I just actually put that in the chat panel so that they would
yeah, happy to talk
would have because I know you're one to give out your email address. So we're a couple of minutes over the top of there. I could keep talking to you for hours, as you know.
That's fun. That was a fast hour.
I know. We'll have to do a part 2, and hopefully we can figure out a way where we can be on screen at the same time.
Yeah, I'll have to fly to Boston.
I know, but there you go. I can't let you leave, though, without giving us one of your famous dad jokes.
Oh.
Waiting for it.
Oh, wow.
Come
okay,
on,
where's
come
my can? I know. I'm unprepared to do this, but I will figure
I
something out.
thought
This
you
is a
would
good
have
one.
one off the top of your head.
Oh, you know what? I've just used those so many times. But I have this cool can, and it has a bunch of dad jokes, like all these right here. I got this for Christmas,
Awesome. All
and
right,
it's
it was a
cool.
good one.
Uh, um, let's see. Oh, this is not good. All right, I'll just use one that I used the other day, just because it's easy, and you don't have to see it. Some of these things you have to see the answer to make sure you laugh. But what does a sea monster eat? What does a sea monster eat? And the answer is fish and chips. Fish and chips,
Fish
and that's
and
gonna
chips.
make
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's gonna make Sandy's eyes roll, which means that's a perfect dad joke.
I knew
The
exactly.
greater extent of eye roll, the greater the joke is. So
It's a good thing I'm not on camera. So with that, thank you, Eddie, for joining us today.
Here's the contact information for both Eddie and myself. Please feel free to reach out to either one of us with any questions with regards to IMCP and membership. And please join us for our next webinar, which is on August 30th from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. It's episode 7 of our Partnering for Success Better Together series. And my guest will be Blake Cheek from Ingram Micro, and we'll be discussing everything around licensing. And the title of this webinar is Navigating Software Licensing for Customer Success. Hopefully you can join us then, and we hope to see you on a future webinar. Thanks for joining us today, and have a great day.